Now, as inclement weather batters various parts of the country, the efficiency of government's response to natural disasters has come under the microscope. This has led to calls for the creation of a single and well-capacitated governmental entity dedicated to responding rapidly, efficiently and decisively to the needs of the vulnerable. Gift of the Givers founder, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, joins us for more. Dr. Sooliman, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. You've made this call saying that a one-department structure could perhaps be the solution to the delays that are encountered when people are in desperate need of assistance.
This is not something new. I haven't said this for the first time.
Yeah.
I've said this many times before. The problem is that nobody knows who's in charge. There's so many different tiers of government, and there's not one organized structure. A disaster needs an organized structure, one person at the top giving instructions that everybody else follows. But when you have a system where you're not sure whether it's national, local government departments, national Kokta, provincial Kokta, municipal department, national disaster, provincial disaster, municipal disaster, national human settlements, provincial human settlements. Who's in charge? Nobody knows. We saw the chaos in the floods in KZN in 2022. Nobody can give a fixed instruction or a command. We all follow the same system. When you have so many departments, then it's very easy to absorb yourself from responsibility. Everyone can say it's somebody else's problem, and nobody takes responsibility. And the challenge with that is, because there's so many people involved, ego becomes a big issue, and there is a problem of command and control. When you have a disaster management system, or you have a disaster management system within the local government nationally, it has to be either they doing it, or the province, or the municipality. Somebody got to know who's doing it. Let me give you another example, a clear example of how the system doesn't work. In November 2022, beginning of December 2022, there was a massive fire in Gale. The city was left to its own. The winds were blowing at a tremendous pace. It was day zero. There was not much water. The fire chiefs called us and said, our trucks can't reach the fire. We don't have enough trucks. We don't have enough firefighters. We don't have water and food for them. We can't refill the trucks. We can't put the fire out. What happens? At a point like this, shouldn't support come from the province and from national? But that wouldn't happen because they don't have a system of organization how to deal with this kind of matter. The people in the only system that really works is the first part, generally. In that case, even that work. But the disaster management teams, they're phenomenal. All over the country, they come first, they move the debris, they take the people out, they take them out of the fire, they put the fire out. But instantly, 4 hours later, when it comes to the food, the water, the blankets, the clothing, that never happens. And that's a huge crisis where people are so distraught, so wet, so cold, so hungry, and nobody comes to their assistance.
As you say that, Dr. Sooliman, we've just heard Human Settlements Minister Mamoloko Kubai speaking about, an admission for one, saying it's unfortunate we took so long. The delays was around recognizing the beneficiaries, and really that admission alone also speaking to the slow processes. But is it a matter of departments working in silos? That's why there is no fast moving when it comes to the various departments and the solutions that need to be offered on the ground.
That's the big problem that I spoke about in the beginning. Somebody say it's SASA's job to do this. Somebody will say, no, social development going to do that. Somebody says, no, it's province. Somebody will say, no, it's national. That's why I say everybody is absolved of responsibility. Nobody takes ownership. Each one says, other one got to do it. And that's a big problem. And this other thing about, that's another thing they always come up with. And the minister has tried very hard. I have a good relationship with her. And I know she always calls and she's always distraught. And there's just several aspects here. One of the part of being distraught is they don't have mechanisms to release funds immediately.
Yeah.
The funds are there. Even the finance minister told me there's R1 billion available for disasters. But nobody knows how to apply for it and how to get it quickly. Disaster by nature means you can act instantly. Doing it 2 weeks later, it serves no purpose. So that's the one problem. And the mechanism, the bureaucracy, or the whatever laws they got, they need to rescind that. In the case of disaster, you make an instant decision, you send it out. Don't wait for lists. How long is that going to take? People you can see them when you go on the ground on site, who they are. And if 10% of extra people get food, so what? Because when you go to a disaster, and in the last 3 years, we're seeing my teams on the ground are seeing something very, very different. In the past, when you get to a disaster, whether fire or flood, they will tell you, please, we need the building material, nothing else. Now you go to a fire or flood, the first thing they ask you is, where's the food? Where's the food? People are starving. There's endemic hunger in our country. And when you go, and then we change the system around now. When we take food from those affected by a fire or flood, I tell my teams, check next door. The ones that haven't been affected by a fire or flood, they must be hungry too. And we'll end up feeding on both sides, those affected and those not affected because they are hungry.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if you give some extra people food. People are poor in any case. What difference does it really make?
As we take stock of the impact of these gale force winds from the 5th of July in the Western Cape, what have your teams encountered on the ground, and how many people who have been forced out of their homes are now looking for assistance?
Well, the gale force has caused tremendous damage in terms of destroying houses, dropping them down, roofs blown away, and the water itself, getting into houses, it's completely soaked. First of all, on the one side, people don't like to leave their homes, be it flood or fire. They don't like to leave their homes because that spot, that land that they got is their life, and they're afraid somebody else is going to take it. And secondly, whatever possessions are left, even if they're wet or partially damaged, they don't want anybody to steal it. So many people don't leave. That's the one. Voluntarily, they don't want to leave. But when storms are very severe, and what happened in Eastern Cape floods recently, they were told you have to get out, otherwise you're going to get washed away. So they did listen. But quite often, there are no premises to take them to. Right now, there are not enough halls in Cape Town. Arrangements have not been made to take people to halls, whether they're small or big. Get 50 small ones, or get 10 big ones, or get a barracks, or get a warehouse. And you can't say that you can't find it. You see, we spend more time on advertising to the public what level storm we're getting. Level 6, level 7, level 8. You're announcing the type of storm. But what preparations have you made to mitigate after that storm hits? You know for a fact that people are going to get washed away. You know the houses are going to get damaged. You know they're going to get soaked. You know they can't stay there. What arrangements have been made up front to have alternative places to put them in? Did you keep mattresses and blankets on standby? Did you keep the cook and hot meals and hot drinks on standby? Did you keep warm clothes and diapers and sanitary pads on standby? No, you didn't. And this happens all the time. Is this the first time in your life that you've come across a flood? It's been happening for 10 decades. And still, we are not ready.
And very lastly, Dr. Sooliman, I hate to cut you short, but just for the sake of time, as you make this call for a one-department structure and you note all of these very pressing concerns about, cutting out the bureaucracy and ensuring that the money is moved to the people who need it in times of need, how are you going to escalate these concerns so that there is some sort of more professional coordination when people need to be assisted?
I've spoken to ministers, I've spoken to heads of department, I've spoken to disaster management. They need to get, I don't want to tell you what I said, it's not very nice, but I've spoken to them, and this has been made. They've called us many times, during disasters and said our mechanisms are a problem, but nobody addresses the mechanism. And your program and further programs like this, hopefully, will get to those involved in ministerial, minister level, DG level, to address these issues and act on it fast, because this is not going to stop. Since the time of the tsunami in 2004, we've been seeing the weather patterns are completely messed up. The intensity and the frequency of disasters is just increasing all the time, and they're getting bigger and bigger all the time. I mean, Western Cape, 2 years in a row, tremendous floods extended from Cape Town, right outside, 4 hours away. Eastern Cape, second or third time. KZN, terrible disasters. I mean, water-related. I'm not talking about the fire. Fire is man-made. But, weather patterns are a total disaster. And the last point I was mentioning is the disaster management teams are always there. Hats off to them. They're phenomenal. They come on site. But we are the other civil servants, the ones that are supposed to take care of the food and the blankets, what I mentioned before. Why do you never see them on site?
Yeah.
What are they getting paid for? Why do you even have those departments? And why do you have them in different tiers of government if you can't come out and be on site? People need to see your face. They need to have some kind of assurance, reassurance, some kind of hope. Okay, here's my civil servants, here's the government people. We know we'll get something in the next few hours. They wait 7 to 8 days before something happens. That's totally unacceptable.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on this conversation and speaking to us. Gift of the Givers founder, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman.